So I was talking to a friend recently and I was telling him how I need to get more clients and do more lead generation, and he looks at me and goes, "Why don't you just outsource it?" I mean, it made sense to me, but I asked him to explain anyways, and he tells me to find someone that will do it for me for cheap. So I did. And it's really funny because the very next day I got into the chapter of a book that I'm reading called The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss, where he talks about outsourcing everything. And I mean everything. In the book, he talks about completely removing yourself from the equation to make things easier. And it's insane what he outsources. He even has a virtual assistant that sends his wife flowers. I wouldn't recommend that, but he does it. But I started thinking of all the possible ways that I can outsource my life to make things easier. So let's talk about it. Hey everyone, welcome back. Or if you're new here, hi, my name is Mark. I'm a UX and product designer, a digital marketer, and someone who loves creating content around productivity, personal growth, and all things design. I'm here to share insights, tips, and stories that I hope inspire or help you along the way. All right, so let's jump into the first thing, which is probably very obvious, but just to get this out of the way, let's talk about what is outsourcing. So Google's literal definition of outsourcing is when a business hires a third party to provide services or products that would normally be handled in-house. Some pros to outsourcing is that, for one, it is cost saving. It's also time saving and more efficient, and you have a large access to experts all around the globe. Lastly, it's super flexible, meaning you can upscale or just break down the operation however you see fit. So on the opposite side is that, for one, you have loss of control. Obviously, you're not doing the work and the minute details might be super important to you. You don't have control over that anymore. Second one is communication issues. You have to be a very good communicator to outsource, because trying to get someone to do something that you're imagining is very difficult unless you're really good at telling them exactly what you want. Another one is quality concerns. It's very hard to find someone who is really good at whatever you're asking for, so make sure you do your research properly and you get someone with good experience. And lastly, which is really important, confidentiality issues, because you might have to share some passwords with them or make sure that they have eyes on some confidential information, and that is concerning. So make sure that they have a very good history, an extensive history of doing similar work, so that you don't get scammed. All right, so next let's talk about how I actually bought back my time and outsourced lead generation for my business. So there's actually a ton of different job boards that you can go to post a job for a freelancer. So let's talk about a few of them. So first we have Fiverr, and if I had a tier list, I would actually rank this near the bottom in my humble opinion, just because I'm not the biggest fan of it. That's really all. We also have Upwork, which I really like. If I had a tier list, once again, I would probably put this up to mid-high tier, somewhere around there. We also have Contra, which is a bit newer, and because of that, I almost want to put it at high tier, like a very high tier, but it's been a little iffy lately, so I don't know if I'd put it just about there, maybe slightly lower. And then there's a ton of other ones, such as freelancer.com, or even specialized ones like Dribbble. For me, I used Upwork. I went on there and posted a job as a client, found someone, and hired them. And then with that person, I communicated the parameters I want them to work around, and I can actually pull that up. Pretty much, I told them to find small or medium business owners that either don't have a website or could use one, or have a website that is currently outdated and could use a redesign. So after I communicated all of the parameters, I had to figure out how to automate everything, which essentially is removing yourself from the equation. So in order to do that, I pretty much found a cold outreach email platform and created an account for him so that he can go in there and add some leads. I then set up a campaign that will automatically send out and schedule emails using a different domain that I created. And then lastly, I use Zapier in order to automatically add all the leads that my freelancer finds into the campaign. So pretty much every morning I wake up to new leads and the campaign automatically sends emails for me. I will say that it did take me a while to learn everything that I needed to know and find all the right tools, but once you have everything set up, it's out of the way. So what are some other things that I could potentially outsource? And maybe you can too. Because this worked out so well, I made a list of things that I actually want to try potentially outsourcing in the future. So I'll read it to you. For one, I want to try contract bidding. So having someone go out there and bid on contracts for me and kind of apply to them, freelance contracts, and see if we can get some. Another thing I want to try is possibly job applications. Maybe someone can collect a list of job applications for me in an Excel file and I can go to apply to them. Or maybe they can apply for me. Another thing is social media postings. those are actually very difficult for me because when you get to that on Instagram, YouTube, or, even TikTok, all the engagement tricks, the thumbnails, titles, all that stuff, it's kind of difficult. So why not outsource that? And then lastly, and this might sound crazy, networking. What if I have someone who maybe goes and finds LinkedIn profiles, puts them into an Excel sheet, and has a column and says, this is what you should say to them. Or maybe they do it for me. Who knows? Obviously, there's a lot of security concerns here. Also, maybe, is it legal? Don't take my legal advice. Who knows? But yeah, there are things and systems that you can set up here in order to make all of these different tasks easier. So why not do it? Pretty much when it comes to all the things that I could potentially outsource in the future, I'm just trying to ask myself how I can remove myself from the equation and create a structure to do it, like something automated. And another way to think about it is by adding value to your time, because a lot of this is saving time for you. Also, all the other pros that I listed, but very much time. Essentially, you should look at how much time you're investing into a certain task and times that by your current hourly rate. Whatever that number is how much that you can pay someone to do that task for you a reasonable investment, or is it justified? That's up to you. If you're a beginner and maybe don't have an hourly rate for whatever you're doing, I would just take the average of people with lower experience and use that to equate your time for value. And the final thing to consider with everything else in mind is your return on investment. If you're running a business and you find someone to do these mundane tasks for you, is what you're paying them justified and also helping you make money in the long run? And that's pretty much it. That is my mindset and my actual experience in literally buying my time back by outsourcing all this work. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Also, let me know what you think down in the comments below. Other than that, I will see you guys in the next one.